So the South African Farmers Development Association is calling on the government to assist those who've lost their crops in the flooding in KwaZulu-Natal. Sugarcane farmers in particular have been hard hit. The association will today meet with the Agriculture Minister to assist or to assess affected farms. And for a sense of what else we need to know, let's bring in the association's Executive Chair, Dr. Siyabonga Madlala, who's with us via our video link this morning. Dr. Madlala, thanks for your time. Lovely to have you on the program. Really concerning what we're hearing around, especially what is taking place in the sugarcane industry, because my understanding is that South Africa has its heart of that industry, in fact, placed in KwaZulu-Natal. What does this mean about, future supply chain and being able to provide the kind of products that you typically produce?
Morning, and morning, SAFDarians and South Africa at large. It is indeed a devastation, and we have just barely recovered from the July unrest that hit us hard last year, and we also had another flood in December. Just as we are trying to get some support and assistance to help farmers from that flood, now this bigger one affects us and hits us hard. The sad part with it is that the sugar industry, its footprint is in the rural KZN and Mpumalanga. It's our only source of revenue streams for rural communities, and the difficulty is if it's hit, they are the first to actually get hit hard, the small-scale farmers and the poor gogos on communal land. So the difficulty is it continues to exacerbate the rural poverty. As it hits us now, it's going to take us a couple of years to recover as a small-scale growing sector.
We've also seen extensive soil erosion take place because of things like mudslides. Quite literally, sand has moved from where it was to other places. What does this mean about the ability to actually replenish the crops that have been lost? In other words, can people actually go back to plant where they used to?
To be honest, we firstly need to get infrastructure back on track, and that is what we are appealing to government to do, because the road infrastructure going into the fields has been just badly damaged. The bridges and the likes have been badly damaged. We need actually to reinvest on infrastructure. It wasn't the best anyway, because it's one of those dilapidated infrastructures we've been keeping on asking for assistance on there. But what is said is that some fields are outrightly collapsed. We need to replant them, and it costs over 30,000 rand to replant a hectare. And now you can imagine for a cocoa who actually has been hanging on to their hectare of land, now they have to suddenly pop up 30,000 rand. Where do they get it from? So we actually do need government support, especially for those farmers whom the banks won't even look at. So landslides that you've seen are devastation in the fields. Actually, mud is on top of all the cane on some of the fields, so there's no cane that they're going to harvest this year. We just need to help them replant and come back to the game again.
What does this mean about, food security, not only in KZN, but possibly in the country, especially because, as you've mentioned, the footprint of the sugar industry in this country lies in KwaZulu-Natal and parts of Mpumalanga?
We are an oversupply type of an industry. We must acknowledge that, at least as an industry, we've been able to supply more than what our country needs. But the sad part with this is that not only has it affected the farmers, the sugar mills also have suffered. I mean, some mills have had their infrastructure badly damaged. So there might be a shortage in sugar supply, but we stand to correction on that one, because we have been oversupplying. We've been exporting, which we've been attracting some dollars, obviously not at the high prices as we've been collecting in the local market. But when we talk about this kind of devastation, it definitely will impact on the supply. Plus also, farmers are plagued with high input costs. Right now, we're sitting with doubling of fertilizer prices. I don't know what it's going to turn out to be with Russia and Ukraine at each other. So clearly, the fertilizer price will go up again, and you've seen what happens to the fuel price. So it's going to be difficult for farmers to sustain. That is what the sad part is. To recover from all of this now is going to be really government intervention. Gladly, they've declared it a disaster, and our ministers have come. I believe it's come with the deputy minister, the MEC as well. We'll see what they've got in stock for us.
Right. Speak to us about how the timing of the floods have possibly exacerbated the situation. I mean, we know that you only plant and harvest during certain periods of the year. We're entering the winter period now. How is, that timing potentially affecting your processes?
You see, as farmers, normally we love the rain. When it comes, we never complain about the rain because it's a better problem to have than to have a drought. But at this time, it's a time when the sugar mills have just opened. The farmers were guarding to harvest their cane, deliver, because right now they require some cash flows. We've been out of the game for the past 3-4 months because normally the mills will close in November, meaning that December, January, February, March, there's no cash flow for a farmer. So at this time, you'll be pumping your cane so that you can get a cash flow. Now, it means we're going to be about 2 months delayed in terms of the cash flow, meaning that we are out of cash flow for like 6 months, 5 to 6 months. It's going to be a depressed economy existence. We have been battling already, but it's going to really hit us hard because right now, to fix infrastructure takes quite some time for us to get back into the fields. So it's going to have problems with the mills as well, because the mills do need constant throughput for them to crush. Now, some farmers won't be able to deliver because their cane can't come out of their fields. So we just still assessing even the damage because we sometimes can't even get to our fields right now because of the landslides, as you said. So it's quite a devastation.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a time when we should be pumping our cane so that we can make some money.
Yeah. As an association, I'm not sure if you're just working with farmers who are, have their business around crops. But I mean, I've seen really shocking videos, for lack of a better term, of cattle being washed away, quite literally. I mean, how long is that going to take to rebuild? Because, I mean, growing a cow is also something you can't necessarily speed up.
As an African farmer myself, livestock is our culture. All of our farmers will find they'll have some goats, they'll have some cows. It's a devastation what we saw, man. I must say it's painful when you see livestock being washed away because it's life. That's life. It's life. To us, even the cattle that we raise go beyond just a business. It's life. So it's sad. I don't know how long we will recover from that now because there's a traditional, it's a cultural element of our farming. So even as our houses have been washed down, so you don't know how much of this is a farmer going to take. I mean, not to mention the loss of lives. There are farmers right now who've got their children not having been found yet, who may have been with friends. Those friends are in hospital, so you don't know where these children are, and it's just it's painful.
Yeah, and hopefully there is light at the end of the tunnel, especially because we're expecting the Agriculture Minister, Diza, to also arrive in KwaZulu-Natal. I understand, in fact, you'll be meeting with the Minister. Hopefully she's able to catch this conversation, and you'll be able to tell her a bit more when you see her later today. But for now, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Really do appreciate it. That there is the chair of the South African Farmers Development Association, helping us better place the impact that the flooding in KwaZulu-Natal will have specifically on crops, farmers in general, as well as those who herd cattle.